Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today's topic is going to be 5 players who should improve in 2019 for the New York Jets. But before we get started, I just wanted to mention that you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And also, if you want more content, you can subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and maybe leave a comment below if you really liked it. So now that we got that out of the way, let's get started. I'm going to give you my 5 players who I think are going to improve from 2018 into 2019, and we start with the most important piece on this team, their quarterback, Sam Darnold. Last year, he had an okay rookie year. It was ups and downs, naturally, as a rookie season usually goes for a quarterback, but the final 4 weeks are something worth talking about. Overall, on the season, he threw for 2,865 yards, 17 touchdowns, 15 picks, which is an average of 220.4 yards per game and a 57.7 completion percentage. But in the last 4 games, Darnold was the highest rated quarterback by Pro Football Focus, a little interesting, and he had 6 touchdowns to just 1 interception, 931 yards, which is 232.75 yards per game, and a 64 completion percentage. Now, the idea here is that he is only going to improve in 2019. Most quarterbacks take a very big step from year 1 to year 2. That's the plan anyway. And what the Jets did was they improved their offensive line marginally. They still desperately need a center. They improved the running back position with Le'Veon Bell. They improved the receiving position with Jamison Crowder. And obviously, Le'Veon Bell can add in the mix in receiving yards as well. But overall, the Jets' offense is much more improved, and you're expecting Darnold to take that next step as well in 2019, as he should. The expectation for him should be pretty high for this year. And now I'm not saying he's got to throw for 40 touchdowns or anything crazy like that, but just take a nice step forward. If he, again, is throwing 15 to 20 interceptions, then maybe you'll be a little bit worried. But if he throws, 3,500 yards, 25 to 30 touchdowns, and maybe 12 picks on the year, and keeping his completion percentage over 60%, you got to be pretty happy with that. My second guy on this list is Robbie Anderson. Now, he started the season slow last year, but he really came on strong in the last few weeks. He had 3 touchdowns and 336 yards in the last 4 games of the season and drew a really nice connection with Sam Darnold when Quincy Enunwa was hurt and when they pretty much had bare bones on the offense. Robbie Anderson was the last guy remaining, and he really had some big games, like the game against Houston, for example, and like the game against Green Bay, where he had like 140 yards and a receiving touchdown. He had a really good game that week. He is going to be a very key piece. I think that he is someone who is more than just a deep threat. His route tree, to me, expanded last year, and I don't think he was utilized to his fullest potential. With Adam Gase in here, I think he could potentially get more out of Anderson and this receiving core. Because, yeah, there's no big star, but Crowder, Anderson, and Enunwa are 3 pretty versatile pieces. They can do a lot of different things and make for an interesting scheme. And to me, I think if you get Anderson open in space and get him the ball, he is quick too. So I think he can make a lot of stuff happen. Again, he has more than just someone who can run a 9 route, and he has that connection with Sam, which is really key. And I think he builds off that into next year and is pushing over 900 receiving yards. He had, 735? Somewhere in the 700s in receiving yards this past year. So I am looking for him to take a big step and maybe push to be a 1,000-yard receiver, but I am definitely penciling him in for over 900 receiving yards. Then my third guy who should improve is Leonard Williams. If you follow the channel or me on social media, you probably know that I'm not the biggest Leonard Williams fan, but Quinnen Williams being added here in the interior defensive line should help out Leonard Williams. Let me explain. He only had 5 sacks last year and 42 tackles. There were many games where he was invisible. See the Buffalo games, for example. He did not have a good year. He is supposed to be a generational talent, and he goes missing far too often for me to consider him that. He's a very good starter in this league. He's not great. He's not an all-pro. He's a borderline Pro Bowl player, not an all-pro, though. He is a good to potentially very good starter. And with the addition of Quinnen Williams, that should really help because he's going to have to get some double teams as well. And Leonard should be able to get to the quarterback, hopefully a little bit more. Also, you're not going to be taking any plays off with Greg Williams as your defensive coordinator. That is a fact. He is a psychopath, and he will call you out. So I think the motor has to be going for Leonard Williams, and he needs a much bigger year. Does he get that long-term contract? What happens here with Leonard Williams and the New York Jets? It's a huge year for him, so he's got to have some big things. My fourth guy on this list is Trumaine Johnson. He did not have a good first year in green and white with the New York Jets. He played just 10 games, and he really struggled in pass coverage in those 10 games. Yes, Pro Football Focus had him ranked as their 24th overall cornerback, but that one I don't really agree with. Again, Pro Football Focus isn't necessarily like the end-all, be-all. It's a nice tool, but I don't love how they graded him. I think it's a little biased. I don't think he had that good of a year. Again, he really struggled when he faced some big time receivers, and I think that could be exploited. He is getting up there in age, but the thing that should save him, the Gregg Williams reunion. Trumaine Johnson was his best player when Gregg Williams was the defensive coordinator. So if you get him back to those levels, again, maybe a little bit of a stretch because of Trumaine Johnson's age, but if you could even get him to just be an okay number one corner rather, you're in fine shape. And then number 5 for me is the new offensive lineman, Kelechi Osemele. He is going to be a huge, huge part of this offense. He can help mask the inabilities at center if he goes back to his 2016 year. He was an All-Pro in 2016, a very good player in 2017, one of the best guards in the league in those 2 years. But last year, he only played 12 games, had some injury troubles, and regressed a little bit. He's 29 years old, so he should still be in his prime for an offensive lineman, and he should have a couple more years. He's only under contract for this year, but he should have a couple more years of stability in his repertoire. I think he has a bounce back year, and that would really impact the left side in Calvin Beachum and the center, which right now is Harrison, which is not so great. So those are my 5 guys who I think have the best chance of taking a big step forward or a big step back up in their production if they had a little bit of a lesser year in 2018. Let me know what you think in the comments. Who are some of your guys that you're expecting big things from this year? And I'll do more videos like this. I think I'm going to pivot and do a little bit more Jet stuff. You seem to really enjoy it, so I'm going to stick with that. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe. And, of course, follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next time.